Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shay Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. So, welcome to another episode of Real Moms Podcast. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "A woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she gets in hot water." And that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. So today I have Ann Wymore. Today I have Ann Wymore. When you choose Ann Wymore and the Northstar team at Navigate Realty in Denver, Colorado, you're not just getting a realtor, you're gaining a caring partner on your real estate journey. Contact Ann today to experience the difference in personalized real estate services. So Ann, thank you so much for being here and joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was really an honor that you called and reached out and asked to visit with me.
Absolutely. So I hope you're okay with this, but I want to just let the audience know that this is Mompreneur in 101, basically. Like you said that you're sorry, you jumped on late, you didn't get a chance to put on makeup. I said, you know what? That is what mompreneurship is all about. We do what we can in the time that we have, and things come up like, traffic and car accidents, apparently. So
well, I actually found a hairstylist, and she's a mom as well. And she starts her mornings at 6 a.m. So I had to be at her house at 6 a.m. to get my hair done while her kids were like playing around, they're getting ready for school, and they're, so we moms, we just do it. We figure it out and we do it. And, it's so cool when you can find someone who has like that kind of flexible schedule, who's also trying to like make it and to do everything. So yeah, I got my 6 a.m. hair appointment. So it's perfect.
That is awesome. And I start my mornings out at 4:30. Now I don't have people coming in, but that's very impressive that she does her hair or does people's hair inside her home, especially in the morning. And I love that. And I encourage that because I think it needs to be more common and okay to bring your kids or have your kids around you, because it's either, hey, we either do this with my kids around or it's not happening at all. I'll never forget, like I kind of started that here in Columbus, and my youngest is 5, and I was in real estate when that happened, but I'm part of the chamber and I'm heavily involved in the community, but it got to the point where I'm going to have to bring my kids with. And now it's to the point, like they just know that they may or may not be there. But at first I think people thought it was a little odd, or unprofessional. And I'm like, hey, either they're here with me or I'm not going to be here at all. So what do you want? They're like, no, that makes sense. You could be here.
No, I completely agree. And I also think that we're teaching the next generation about hard work and hustle, and that you just do what you've got to do when you got to do it. And I will say, like, when I started, my daughter was entering kindergarten, and she's probably, I think, she just graduated. She's going to college now. And I would say that if she wanted to be a realtor tomorrow, she could probably step into the role like really quick. Mm-hmm. Because she's been in training for 18 years.
Right. Well, and then they learn how to talk to people, how to behave. Because like when mom's on the phone, hey, shh, and then you guys can fight afterwards,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how many kids do you have?
So I have four. So I
Oh,
have four
wow.
children. I had three boys and then I had a girl.
Okay.
And you name it, I did it. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I did the MLMs, I did all of that. And then when my daughter was in kindergarten, I was like, okay, now it's time to like kind of start focusing a little bit more on me. I come from a family of very strong women entrepreneurs, actually. So I don't think any of my aunts or nobody worked a full time like 9 to 5 job, but they were all entrepreneurs. Um, so I came from that. I came from, hey, if you want something, you go after it, non-traditional work atmosphere. So that's kind of where I came from. So when she was in kindergarten, I was like, okay, this is like my time now. This is where I can do this. And yeah, it just kind of took off from there.
First of all, so your youngest is out of high school already?
Yeah, I'm gonna be 50 in 2 weeks.
I would never have guessed. I'm not joking. I would never have guessed. Not at all. Like I would
Well,
think that your oldest just graduated, not your youngest.
no, so my
Oh my
oldest is
gosh.
26.
Wow. So you were pretty, well, no,
I was
24, 23,
22.
24. Oh,
I was
22. Okay.
22
Yeah,
when he was
I was
born.
23 when I had my first one too. But oh my gosh, I would not have guessed. So whatever you're doing, it's working great for you. So
Well, thank you.
yeah.
So
So yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, so honestly, you moms who are out there with the younger kiddos who are killing it every day, I just want you to know that there are so many women out, so many women who support you. And anytime like you second guess or think, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna have to take my kid to this or I'm gonna have to do that, like we're all there. And when you bring your kid in, we don't care. Like we are so glad that you're there. We are so glad that you're working. Like I think it's awesome. And I do think that we really train a new generation
Mhm.
and you know having those like great manners but then also like having your kid with you and them seeing you is yeah, you can't teach you can teach a work ethic but you can't and it's a lot of modeling and they see that.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. And you don't realize how much of an impact you have on your kids until you start seeing them do what you do. Because kids don't learn through you telling them to do things. They learn through what you do and what you say. So like towards the end of last year, so I get up at 4:30. My husband gets up around 5:15. We get up, journal, workout, read, things like that. Well, towards the end of last year, my two older ones like, oh, we want to get up too. They were getting up at 5:45 every single morning, which that's my time. I love my kids dearly, but that's my time.
You're like,
But no, we let
I'm
them.
moving your alarm clock. You're still getting up at I don't want you.
I know they're like, but mom. But yeah, they would get up, they would read, they would work out, they would write, they would do all those things before they could watch TV at 7:15. I mean, they had to get all of their morning
Mhm.
routine done in order for them to be able to do that. So it is really fun to see their transformation while seeing your own transformation.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like when you said that and just letting people know that it is okay. And if there's somebody that you're working with, a client that's like, nope, I don't like kids, then they're probably not your client. Probably not somebody you want to work with because when you get through business, you're going to be firing clients. You're probably going to get fired from clients because
Yeah.
we can't be somebody for
No.
and it's just, yeah, we just have to be okay with that.
Well, and I also think that there is all, I mean, again, we welcome them, but I also think that there's a fine line. I think that sometimes you have to understand. And I also think that it's okay to take like, hey, I can't meet you today. My kid's having a breakdown. Like, it's not going to work out today. Or, I do have to find someone to come in and watch, or I need an alternative because it's okay to bring them sometimes, but it also is really important for professionalism that we come on our own as well. So as long as it's not a super long habit forming or they're not disruptive,
Mhm.
there's really a fine line. And I also think that that's where having really great people around who you can have those honest relationships with who say, you know what, please don't come this time.
Yeah.
Last time it was a little bit. So again, and then not taking that personal.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's interesting. I met with some sellers that are going to be selling here pretty soon. And I was like, how long have you guys owned it? And we were both like, oh my gosh, 5 years, because I got home on a Saturday with my youngest daughter and I showed them this home on that Monday. And I'll never forget. It is, and fortunately, I kind of knew them, not super, super well, but it was a married couple, obviously. And I'm nursing, or I have my baby with me. And she gets really fussy. And they're like, hey, Shay, we want to make an offer on this. I'm like, great. That sounds awesome. Because I knew she was going to need a feed. And we get to the office and I was like, I'm so sorry. I said, either I need to step away for 15 minutes to feed Braylon, or I can nurse her right here and still do the offer. And the wife's like, oh, you're good. You can go ahead and just nurse. It's fine. I don't know if the husband cared or not. Obviously, I had the cover on and stuff. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we're nursing and typing out the offer and we're going through it. But it was, I don't know. It's fun experiences like that they're like, oh, Shay, no. I mean, it's been 5 years because your daughter just turned 5. So
Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun. But
And you do get to know everyone's families, mostly
oh,
in our
yeah.
job.
Yeah, you do. You do. And you just kind of start relating to the people who also have kids
Mhm.
around your age. And that helps out a lot too. I'm sure that you probably have gotten a lot of business from friends,
Yeah.
people in the different activities that your kids are also in.
Absolutely. And again, we go back to the entrepreneurship. My kids talk about my work. They
Mhm.
talk about it. And I'm like, oh, well, if you bring me, because, now that I have older children, some of them are starting to buy houses and they're going to come to Miss Ann.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and my kids know that if I get a referral from them, then they probably get an extra Christmas present or something like that.
Yeah.
So, it's that entrepreneurial spirit. My kids are always like, Ma, I told them they needed to call you.
Yes.
So,
No, that's 100%, because I've heard this quote before and it said, don't let your kids be your excuse, make them be your reason or something like that. But it
absolutely,
really
that's a
is. Like,
perfect.
yeah, yeah. People use, oh, I have kids as an excuse. No, like that is an even bigger reason. I mean, yes, you're
Yeah.
going to have situations where you may not be able to do something because you have kids' activities and you're busy, but I mean, make them be your reason for doing what you do.
Oh, absolutely. 1000%.
Yeah. So your
1000%.
oldest is 26. Do you have any grandkids then?
No,
Not
no.
yet? Okay.
No. My oldest is not the likely I have my 24-year-old is getting married. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
but yeah, I think that kids are down the road for me. But again, that's another reason why I'm super excited with the job that I have. And I'm glad that I've invested that time because I've already said, like, hey, as soon as any of you have kids, like one day a week, they're mine. Like, I
Yeah.
will not work. They like, and then they laugh. Oh, right, you're not going to work. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do less that day. But I want a grandma day at least one day, like to take off that stress of putting them into childcare or anything like that. Just, that's why we have a community. And the cool thing about me being an entrepreneur where I'm at right now and is that I'm able to say, hey, one day a week, they're mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So very excited about that. But they do know I probably won't not work.
I know, probably not. Well, it's one of those things that, like, when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, and then
Exactly.
you're going to raise your grandkids to have that entrepreneurial mindset too, because if you can take them along for a quick showing, it takes an hour. How fun. Okay, let's get out of the house. Let's go do something. We'll go to the park afterwards or go get ice cream. I can definitely see that for sure.
Yeah. So super excited about that. But no, nothing yet. And that's okay. I have
Yeah.
dogs.
Dogs are enough. My gosh, we have a puppy and holy moly, I think kids are a little easier than puppies sometimes.
I would agree with you. I would agree.
Just poop everywhere. So, but yeah, so tell me a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship. I know you said that you were a stay-at-home mom when your youngest went to kindergarten. Why real estate, or how did you go that direction?
So, again, I think it goes back to my family. My family was very much into the real estate business. She started off, she became an appraiser. My aunt owned her own brokerage, and then one of my aunts was an interior decorator.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it just
Yeah.
kind of was like, it was a natural progression for me. And it was something that I had always been interested in. My parents did flips before flips were even a thing.
Yeah.
So it was, again, it was kind of like that natural progression. I really thought it was something where I feel so crazy now. It's like, oh, it wouldn't be that hard to juggle that. Like I can make my own schedule. It's everyone thinks that it's just this easy thing,
Yeah.
or you can make your own schedule. And then when you get into it, you realize that you don't make your own schedule. Everyone else makes your schedule because you have to be available all the time.
Yeah.
So I started off on a team, a real estate team, and I was like, I really enjoyed it. But I was like, I'm like paying a lot to be on this team, and I'm not getting a ton from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I then left Caldwell Banker and I joined like a boutique firm, and I wanted a team.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked my way. I paid for Zillow leads. I did some stuff that was really out of the box. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, how much money are you spending? And I'm like, well, as long as I'm making it back, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that there, and I ended up with, so I would have like 9 to 10 closings a month myself. And I had an assistant, and then I had two people on my team, kind of fluctuating. And then I ended up moving to Berkshire Hathaway
Mm-hmm.
and was with their brokerage. And I ended up with 12, no, 13 people on my team.
Wow.
And the reason that I love doing a team is I love training. I love the camaraderie. It's like a family atmosphere, but it's also really, really hard. I feel specifically our job, I think, because we work so intensely and we're talking to people like every single day. And I know about their family. I know when they're sick. I know when and we have such a great time together. And then we close on a house, and then you're just alone.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you go back to like going, oh, and you start that process over with someone else, but emotionally, like it's hard. So my team is really, like I said, we're kind of like a family. So I get to pour my emotional, my all of that in to them as well. And then I get to stay with them. So after a couple months, they're still there. So I still get to invest. I still get to see them grow. It was really, really helpful for me to do that. And I've just kind of grown that way. I will say that as the team grew, I am a very bad recruiter. um, I have trouble with that, but every single person on my team has actually been recruited by one of my team members.
Yep.
They're like, "Oh my God, you have to come work with her. She's wonderful." So I've been very, very blessed that I've actually only lost while I've been doing this, I've only actually lost 2 team members.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, like if they're not ready to be full-time agents, they're like, well, can I still stay with you? Can I still be with you? I'm like, absolutely. So
Yeah.
what happened was, so a year ago, I decided Berkshire some stuff had increased, some financial stuff was different. And I was like, I'm doing all of this myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a majority of it myself. I did really appreciate like the mentorship I received from my brokerage, but I decided to start my own brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
So last September, 12 of us left, and I rented a space, and I started my own brokerage, which I was so scared, still scared sometimes to this day to
Yeah.
do that. Since leaving, I had 13 people when I left, and now I have 20.
Oh my
And
gosh.
even in last year, when it was the bad year and everything, we were all still pretty successful. And um, hopefully in 2 weeks, we're opening a new office space. So in 1 year, I was able to grow, and then now we're opening. So I'm in commercial real estate. So we're doing a build out on an office building, and hopefully in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
we will be in our brand new space.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. And like you said, I like how you said I was scared and I'm still scared because people think that, oh, okay, well, she's got it going on. Like she knows what she's doing and it's, it's smooth sailing, but it's not. Like it is a
Oh,
constant daily mind game. We have our own mind game in our own heads and I don't know. It's a constant daily battle in all reality, especially when you're responsible for 20 other people. You're leading 20 other people and not just 20 other people, but their families too. So it's a lot
yes.
more pressure on you.
It's a constant, so it's not the fear, and I guess it is the constant fear of failure, because I have the 20 people, and then I have two people that are on my team.
Mhm.
And then it's that fear, but it's also the fear of just staying the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many days like when you get in your own head and you're like, you know what? You know how much easier it would be if I just said, screw all of this. I'll just be my own. I won't do that. But then you sit back and you're like, but there's so much more I could do.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much more I could do. And
Mhm.
and I fail at some things. I'm successful at some things. And as long as my successes at least balance out my failures,
Mhm.
I'm just going to keep moving forward.
Well, you never learn from your successes. I mean, you might learn a
No.
little bit, but you learn more from your failures. And if you are not taking those risks, you're not growing. And like I told you before, one of my favorite quotes is get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Made a change about a year and a half ago because I noticed that I was very comfortable with where I was at, plus a few other things that didn't align with my vision. But it was one of those things that I'm like, holy shit, I need to make a change. And it's hard, change is hard. Going into something that you're not familiar with, going out and doing like creating your own brokerage and having 12, 13 people believe in you and trusting you that you're making the right decision. Like, I don't think people realize how much stress you went through and do go through on a regular basis. Good stress though, too, because like you said,
Oh,
it's taking you to another level, but nonetheless, it's still stress.
absolutely. It's totally stress, but it is also one of those things where, again, when you were talking about the reasons, your kids can be an excuse or a reason. I think that probably when I get the most stressed, and I want all the moms with younger children to know, like, as your children get older, yes, they're watching you. And I was saying to one of my sons who's older, who's in the workforce, and I was like, oh, Andrew, I don't know. Like, what if I just can't make it? And he's like, Mom, you make everything happen. He goes, you just have to keep trying. He goes, but I've never seen you not make something happen that you wanted to make happen. And he goes, you can totally do it. So there will come a time in your lives as you get older that the kids that you're trying to model for and show goes, they're the ones, not only are they the reason, but they're the ones who've seen you, and they've seen you in that positive light most of the time. Because when we look in the mirror, there's so much self-doubt, and we put ourselves, what are you doing? Like, this is the world telling you this is this. And then you have these people who are watching you, and they generally just see you in the best light
Yeah.
because they love so unconditionally, that then as you get older, and like where I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm not going to be able to do this. And I was voicing that, and he was like, Mom, like, what can't you do? Like,
Yeah.
I've watched you
Yeah.
stop. And so I just want, yeah, it's just amazing. So they're my reason, but they're also now going, oh, my moms can do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So it's
You
so
don't even,
cool.
I'm sure you probably didn't realize how much they watch you until they start telling you those things. And like you said, like they love unconditionally. So they've only seen all the positive things that you've done. And for you to even doubt yourself, they're like, he's probably thinking, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
he was totally taken back that I had those fears, because
Mhm.
he'd always seen me so confident. And mostly with your kids, like, even when you're scared, like, when they're like riding their bike and they fall and you don't react like, oh my God, are you okay? And you're just like, oh, what? knock
Yeah.
off the dirt, get back on, you're fine. In
Yeah.
your mind, you're like, oh my God, I hope you didn't break something,
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they don't see that. They don't see that internal dialogue. They only see the outside. So yeah, so they can come up beside you and they're like, well, you're not scared of anything. And you're like,
I'm scared of everything. That's like Will Smith, a little controversial, but one of his quotes that he does is if you're scared, I can't even remember it, but if you're scared, just do it scared, basically.
yeah,
I'll have to look it up, but I'm gonna have to look it up. Now it's gonna drive me crazy.
it
But
is
yeah,
going to
so I
drive
mean,
you
you just have
crazy.
to
Like,
do it scared. And it's not that people who are very successful are never scared. They're so scared, and they're probably more scared than most people. They've just learned to deal with it. They've learned to get through that and know, hey, you know what? This is just part of the process.
yeah, I can do it scared or I don't do it. So I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just suck it up and do it. And it's fail. Like if you fail, you fail.
You
Like,
feel forward. You feel forward.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, one of my favorite quotes, actually, people don't fail, they quit. That's why I'd heard one time. And I'm like,
Oh, I
oh,
love that.
I know. I was like, that's true. Because I would always say, fail 7 times, get up 8. Well, but you never really fail. You don't fail, you quit. And that was actually by Matt Rife. He's a comedian because he had done comedy for 11 plus years and was getting nowhere. He was making $60,000 in California, doing these shows, doing free comedy gigs just to kind of get his name out there until finally, literally, he decided to get on social media, which he wasn't on prior, and his business just took off. Like he obviously went from $60,000 to multi-million in a year, less than a
Oh, I
year.
went and seen him.
Did you? Oh my gosh, I almost did a couple times and I didn't. But was he funny? Was he awesome?
Oh, he was funny. It was
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but so that was one thing that I had heard from him is people don't fail, they quit. And he actually said the week before everything took off, he was talking to his friend about quitting comedy and moving, to a less expensive location versus California, because $60,000 a year in California does
Yeah.
not, that's like $20,000 here in
Yeah.
Nebraska. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had heard him say that and I was like, damn, that's legit. That is legit.
Well, and it's in all of our businesses. I mean, honestly, that's how it works for if you're, calling people or it's that minute that you think that I'm just not going to call them again. Like this is just not like, yes, I know I was planning on calling them like 10 times
Mhm.
this many days. Like we have that system. And it's that consistency that we're all preaching that we need to do. And it's that you're going, you know what? I've tried 10 times. Yes, I know on my schedule it says 14, but I've tried 10 times. I'm done. Put this one away and I'm just not going to do it. And it's the 10th call.
Mhm.
It's the 13th or it's the you know what? I haven't heard from them. I'm just going to send them a card and you do it and you're like, "Oh, it's that consistency and that not giving up."
Yeah. It's like, oh, they don't hate me. Oh, they're not annoyed with me. Oh, they had life things going
Yeah.
on. We
Yeah.
put all these, actually, I'm reading a book right now. It's called The Changed Mind, and it talks about our limiting beliefs. And it's a really good book. If you're a reader, I would definitely read that. But it's called A Changed Mind, and it's recognizing our own limiting beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves in regards to what our beliefs are. And what you believe is what grows. So like if you go get a new vehicle, it's called your activating system, your reticular activating system. Like you go get a new vehicle. Well, you never notice that the white Traverse that you just bought, nobody drove it. Well, now that you own one, now everybody
Oh, you
drives
see them
it
everywhere.
all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So you have to be looking for those opportunities. And if you focus on negativity and things aren't working out and life is tough, then that's the direction you're going to go. But if you focus on positive opportunities, success, like people don't get lucky. They're just looking for opportunities. They're constantly keeping their mind open for those opportunities and they're willing to take those risks to get there.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that the limiting belief thing, another good book is called The Power of One More by
I think I have that
Ed
actually.
Milet. Oh, it's so good.
I
Actually,
have it on my
I was
bookshelf.
gonna say, I
Yeah.
think I see it up there. Yeah. So I met Ed a couple times, but it's such a good book. But it's kind of like just doing that one more thing. Like if you said 10 calls, just doing that 11th call. If you said that you're gonna work out for 30 minutes, work out for 45. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if you said that you're going to walk 10,000 steps, do 10,001 or 100. You know what I mean? Just the power of doing one more. It'll get you into that disciplined mentality. But I don't really know where I was going with that. But the changed mind thing is I love it. Oh, I know where I was going with it. So we live in Columbus, Nebraska. We live on an acreage. I want to move. I want to move to a bigger city. I want to move to a different state. I've never lived outside Nebraska. My husband does not. And I remember not too long ago, I said, okay, you ready to move to Texas? He's like, no, I'm not moving. I'm like, just gotta keep working at it. And he goes, Shay, what can you do in Dallas, Texas that you can't do in Platte Center, Nebraska? Now, given Platte Center, Nebraska is like 300 people. And I laughed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? You know? And then I started reading this book and I'm like, maybe that's the false narrative that I'm telling myself, that I can't get to the level that I want to go and be super successful because I live in Platte Center, Nebraska, or because
so it's your limiting belief factor.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, like I was always, now there's obviously things that you can't do in Platte Center, Nebraska that you can in Dallas.
I was going to say there is quite a bit.
Yeah, there definitely is.
But there's a lot that you can do in Platte Center that you
Yeah.
can't do in Texas. So,
yeah. And if
grass
I'm
is
talking about
not-
success and business, that's my own limiting belief, because there are very, very successful people here in the Columbus area, in Nebraska. But I just was like, oh, dang, like I thought he was the crazy one. But in reality, maybe that was my own limiting belief that I'm telling myself. It's like, okay, I still want to move, but that's just where I'm at. I might be able to convince him to move to Colorado, though. That might be a possibility. But
hey, you come out here, I'll show you a good time.
yes, I got family out there. Colorado's amazing. We love Colorado. Actually, we're going to go there tomorrow. We're going to Colorado tomorrow. Yep, through Sunday. It's our anniversary. So,
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, but yeah, anyway, kind of getting back to the podcast. But so tell me, Ann, I know that you're obviously very busy and I appreciate you being here, but what is one piece of advice you would give somebody who is either just starting out, whether it's in real estate or entrepreneurship at all, or even like your younger self?
I think that you actually kind of touched on it, kind of the one more, but instead of it being one more, is do what makes other people uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Because it's amazing. We all really know what we're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like even no matter what your career is, no matter what, all of that. And you see someone who's successful and you're like, oh my gosh, they spend this much time on the phone. Well, they spend that much time on the phone because you won't. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, going and talking about your career or doing something, you're like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm like pushing this down. It's like, no, you're just talking about your life. Mm-hmm. So I think you just have to do things that people won't do.
Yeah. They
won't, like, go that extra mile, do the stuff that other people won't do. And that's a little bit hard for you, but mm-hmm. in the end, if you do anything that other people won't do and you do it consistently, you will be successful. Because going the extra mile, number one, stepping outside of your car when it's freezing cold, showing houses. I mean, I hate saying this, but showing houses on the holidays, or, taking a break for something and going and doing, the difference between you and everyone else in the industry that you're in is you going the extra mile.
Yeah.
Or doing more. Mm-hmm. And not just necessarily doing more, but you do the things that people don't like doing. Mm-hmm. Or we all go, oh, I really should do this. You have that list of things that you really should do. And it's that thing that you put off to the last minute. Is it like frog where it's something like you should always do the thing you hate most first.
I would agree with that. I actually have a quote right here and it says, make it a point to do what sucks every day.
So honestly, that should be my quote.
Yeah.
Take everything else away that I said. And that's what it should be, is do what sucks first.
Yeah.
But do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially if you do it first, because then you get it out of the way. It's kind of like my workouts in the morning. I love working out, don't get me wrong, but I know that if I don't do it right away in the morning, it won't get done.
Yeah.
Something will come up. I'll find an excuse. and it won't get done. So it's kind of like that. And calls, like if you're going to be prospecting and you hate doing it, do it in the morning, because by the time the afternoon rolls around, you're going to be mentally exhausted. You're going to find a reason, an appointment's going to come up, and you're going to find a reason not to do it. Nobody likes cold calling. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
some people do.
Well,
I do not.
even with my agents, I'm like, you know what? We're also people centered, people pleaser. That's kind of like our industry. And
Yeah.
I've said to them, I said, you all need to do the one thing that you feel like you have to do. And they're like, looked at me and they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, if someone said, hey, Shay, I need you to write an offer, you would stop everything and write that offer, right? You would do it no matter
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
I said, but you all know that your business is going to go, is just going to cycle. It's going to go up and down because you're not prospecting,
Yeah.
because you're not marketing, right? And they're like, yeah. And I go, so what you need to do is, instead of that contract being your number one obligation, your number one obligation should be cold call, like whatever your prospecting is. And they
Yep.
just looked at me and I was like, I go, because that's something no one can force you to do but yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You are held accountable by someone if they're asking you to write a contract. You're held accountable to go to a showing. You're held accountable to like all of these different things.
Yeah.
No one is holding you accountable to put in the work behind the scenes that no one sees.
Mm-hmm.
So your very first most important thing should be that, is so that you can maintain your business and keep it, because nothing ever will stop you from pleasing that client or writing something right then. I go, but everything in the world will pop up and stop you from doing the thing that you hate most.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just don't go to bed until you do it.
Yeah. And one thing that helps me hold accountable when I'm making phone calls is, let's say I talk to somebody, I'm like, great, I will follow up with you next Tuesday at this time. Okay, well, now I have an appointment to give them a call. And then when I call them, I'm like, hey, this is Shay Spitz. I'm contacting you just like I said I would, and then go into it. So it kind of does help hold you accountable. You make yourself hold yourself accountable if you can set those appointments with those phone calls.
Yeah.
I will call you in a month if you're ready in 3 months, whatever the case is. But
Yeah.
set that and then put that in your calendar. Don't forget to do that, because if it's not in my calendar, it ain't happening.
And that's all that I'm saying. That would be the biggest thing, is I think if anyone wants to be successful, it's doing that and it's being consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I couldn't agree more. So, well, Ann, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. If somebody's looking to move to the Denver area or maybe even move out, how can they get a hold of you? Or maybe even an agent looking in that area, how can they get a hold of you?
So my website's kind of long. It's bycoloradonst.com. We also have, if you're trying to get a hold of me, we have an app in the App Store. It's called Navigate Realty. You can go on there and reach out to me through that. Or it's just as simple as just giving me a call at 303-550-3739, and I'm available anytime.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ann, for being here and getting here late and still showing up. So that's what it's all about, right?
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed visiting with you. And I can't wait to ask you what drives you every day.
Oh, I like this. This is a turn of events. Um, That's a good question. What drives me every day? Honestly, probably my family. And I have such a burning desire. I don't always know what it is. And that's something that I battle with, is like, I don't know what it is that I'm working so hard for yet. I know that I'm meant for something so much more and something greater. So just taking those risks, like we're working on a development here in the Columbus area, and it has been very challenging. It has been pushing me outside my comfort zone. There's a lot of risk that goes into it, but one, I love challenges. I love opportunity, and I love being able to help other people. So we're really targeting workforce housing in our area, and that's our ultimate goal. But I think what drives me every day is challenging myself and to be a better person. Who can I impact that day, and who's going to impact me, and just always seeking that opportunity. And I was reading it, I highlight in my books and stuff, and that was one of the things that I thought of today while reading and exercising, is just, who am I going to impact today? Who's going to impact me? And what opportunities are going to come my way that I'm going to be able to help others as well. So I don't know. It's just the not knowing. And I think that's probably the addiction part of entrepreneurship is the pros and cons, ebbs and flows, highs and lows of entrepreneurship. I've never had an addiction, but I think this kind of helps solve.
It's definitely an adrenaline ruch.
Very much so.
Definitely an adrenaline rush.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And so I think that's kind of the entrepreneurship side. But no, I appreciate you asking me that because and I had somebody actually ask me not too long ago. They said, Shay, if you could not do real estate at all, what would you love to do? What would you be doing? And I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Except I do think what it came down to is helping others get where they want to go. I love, not even just in real estate, I mean, just in general, especially mompreneurs. Yeah. I had somebody call me a couple days ago and we just talked, and then she texted me later and she's like, oh my gosh, can I just pay you to be my motivational coach every single day? I said, just pay me in referrals. You'll be good. But I don't need actually, but yeah, she's like, I just feel so much better after I talk to you in the morning, just having a different perspective on the situation that she had going on. So those are the things that I love. I love seeing them grow, not only in their business, but in their personal life for confidence and stuff too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's so rewarding.
And I'm sure as a team lead, you love seeing people's confidence grow because you see that as time goes. And it's just a lot of fun. It really is. Because then it obviously affects their family life in a positive way too.
It's the reason why I do the team is so that you can just see people grow and mature and accomplish things they never thought they could.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is so much fun. So, well, thank you so much, Ann, for being here. And I appreciate you and all that you do. So we will, maybe I'll touch base with you when we head out that way.
I would love that. You guys have it, and drive careful.
Yes. Thank you so much. And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please, please, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shay J Spitz. That's ShayeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.